Hey, what's up, guys, and welcome to episode 37 of Talk4, the quickfire podcast where we ask four great questions to unique and interesting people. Behind the mic today is your host, Louis Skupien, that's me, and our special guest for today, Alan Aragon, who's going to be answering our questions today. I hope I got that right. Alan, please say hi, introduce yourself, and give us a quick rundown of who you are and what you do before I shoot some questions.
First of all, Louis, thank you so much for having me on. It's an absolute pleasure to be here. I am one of the pioneers of the evidence-based movement in the nutrition and fitness space. So I've been at this for, well, since the early 90s. And so, yeah, just basically a dinosaur of science-based nutrition and fitness is what I am.
Dinosaur. Wow. I mean, that's such an impressive history. 30 years on the go. I was reading up on your website. Such an impressive career you've had. And so, we spoke about this just before we started the podcast, but I heard you worked with Pete Sampras as well. How was that? I mean, we're some of the guys listening to this, the tennis players. I'm a tennis player. So, tell us a bit about that.
He is an extremely humble guy, just very well adjusted, very well put together as a person, and very humble. And it's just extraordinary to work with this level of athlete on the occasions that I've been able to work with him. So yeah, he's just amazing. I mean, he was already in his late 30s, early 40s, but still wanting to improve his game. So
Mm.
yeah, he already had the peak of his professional run, so he was just kind of doing the comeback thing, swinging back around, and he wanted to make sure that everything was in working order. And so we worked on fine tuning his nutrition for that.
That's so cool. Wow, what an impressive history. And yeah, guys, look, it's been a dry month, month and a half, in fact. I got an illness and just starting to get better now. We've got some fantastic guests lined up. And I mean, who better to start with than this amazing person? So Alan, if you're good to go, should we jump on to question number one?
Let's go.
Awesome. Right. So for question one, tell me about your backstory. How did you originally get into your field? What were your motivations behind it? And how did it progress from the start to this amazing career?
It really all started in adolescence when my dad bought my brother and I a weight set, the old Joe Weider weight set. There were these plastic like dumbbells and barbells that were filled with who knows what cement maybe at the time. And just kind of recognize the value of exercise and specifically resistance training at the time. And then as you progress through adolescence, you get enamored with superheroes as well as bodybuilders on the covers of magazines. And I think that we're all just kind of wired to try to become something great, whether it be physically or intellectually or eventually both. And I think we're all kind of wired that way. And I just made that pursuit. And I actually spent a year and a half as an art major before I switched over to being a nutrition major for my undergrad. And then I thought that I was just going to be personal training. That was my goal, to just be trained, the Los Angeles cliche of trainer to the stars. But I got bitten by the research bug. And so I got a graduate degree in nutrition. And so, long story short, I went from doing full time personal training, and in the middle of the 3 decades there, I was full time nutritional counseling, and for the previous decade, I've been full time in research and education. So my colleagues and I basically provide the research and the practice guidelines for dietitians, coaches, and personal trainers, and so that's where I'm at right now.
Wow. So you're that good that you're the one who's coaching the want to be nutritionist then. So you're kind of like the grand master of it all then, really, aren't you?
Well, let me tell you, man, it's hard to be humble. I try to. I was the lead author of the ISSN, that's International Society of Sports Nutrition,
Hmm.
their position stand, their consensus paper on diets and body composition, which a small and very extraordinary league of gentlemen and gentlewomen have read. So I encourage all of your listeners to just Google ISSN position stand diets. And
Oh,
then that'll pretty much tell you all you need to know about what I do and what my colleagues and I do just professionally.
Fantastic. And so obviously it doesn't end there. You've written a book as well, I believe, and that was obviously very successful. So, how long has that been out? How's that, how did you get around to writing a book? I mean, geez, that's so cool. An author as
Oh,
well.
bro. Bro, yes. Yeah, that book has been out since I want to say is it February-ish, maybe something like that.
Oh,
So
it's new
yeah, the
then.
book is number one in the macrobiotic nutrition category, and it's also number one in the punk music category. This is no kidding around. I'm dead serious. It's in the Amazon ranks. It's number one in punk music, and it's number one in macrobiotic nutrition. So I think that's great, and I think it's hilarious.
It is,
But
yeah.
yeah, the book is called Flexible Dieting, and what can I say? I spent 2 years writing the book, and 30 years of field experience went into the book in a single volume. So I'm really happy with how it was received and how well it's doing. And I want to thank everybody out there who has gotten the book and had the nerve to and the courage to read the whole thing.
Yeah, that's epic. Now, well done to you. And I didn't realize it was so new, but I'm glad it's done well. And punk music, what? That's really weird, but
Yeah,
that's
it
the
is.
cool metric at the same time. So anyway, look,
Yes.
I would love to, we've got the backstory now. I'd love to pick your brains a bit on, some more specific stuff and a
Sure.
few general day-to-day questions as well. So for my second question, so it seems like Western society is moving in a more and more unhealthy direction as time goes on. And other than being more overweight and over consuming calories, what do you think are some of the factors that are contributing to that from a nutrition and diet perspective? And how can society start to get back on track with our general health?
It's very, very difficult because there are two major vectors that are working against the health and healthy body composition of the general population. So those two major vectors are number one, a general lack of scientific literacy. Really, I mean, the general population, they're like sitting ducks in terms of receiving and unfortunately implementing misinformation. And so the combination of a lack of foundational, fundamental education and scientific literacy in terms of nutrition, in terms of how the body works, that's a big problem. And that is very, very hard to overcome unless everybody just somehow becomes educated in those fundamentals.
Mm.
Like, for example, a lot of the general public thinks that there's five special fat or belly fat burning foods that they need to include in their diet, or they think that there's five foods that are killing your progress that they need to eliminate from the diet. Yeah, it's just a minefield of misinformation. So it's a combination of a lack of scientific literacy and then the fact that misinformation is rampant. It keeps the general public confused. And when you're confused, you simply don't know how to affect change in your body and maintain that change. Like, for example, maintaining a significant amount of weight loss. Most
Mm.
of the general public will be exposed to various fad diets here and there, and they will jump on a fad diet train, try the diet, succeed for the first few weeks or few months, and then start to fail. And then once they plateau, they get frustrated and then they yo-yo back and then they look for the next best fad. And it's an unfortunate thing, this combination of a lack of scientific literacy and an abundance of misinformation in the mass media. So those are the two things that are really working together to keep people confused and not making progress.
Yeah, that makes sense. And that's a very good answer. There is a lot of gurus out there, isn't there, nowadays, especially on YouTube and the internet and stuff. And they are masters of getting you to click, aren't they? And it kind of goes to show, like in business nowadays, it's almost like the people who have the best marketing are completely beating the people who have the best product. And obviously, it's ideal if you have the best products and the best marketing, but these people are getting so good at the clickbait, the titles. I mean, the stuff that you said there, spot on. That's what you would see on YouTube, isn't it? In the titles, and people are just clicking it, and they're just getting fed this misinformation and stuff. But how do you filter through all of that? When you've got so much of it out there, how do you choose what you listen to, and how do you really educate yourself and start on the path to go in the right way, other than obviously subscribing to Alan Aragon? Shameless plug right there.
That's the $1 million question, Louis. We're a small group of people on an island with our megaphone saying, "Hey, we know how to do this. We're science based. Please listen to us," but we suck at marketing. So, getting on podcasts like yours,
Mm.
and writing a book every now and again, and trying to get that out to the public, and just trying to shine a light on evidence based information, evidence based practices is the best we can do, and then just try to grow our platforms because
Sure.
it's an uphill battle. I don't really know the great answer to that other than
Mm.
just becoming as successful and expanding reach as much as possible.
Yeah, that makes sense. No, I mean, it doesn't seem like you've done a terribly bad job with your marketing and stuff. I mean, you've got a huge subscriber base, follower base on Instagram and stuff. You've done really well with that. And I'm just interested from kind of a marketing standpoint and stuff. How long has it taken to build that following? And do you have any kind of social media tips and stuff for anyone in a similar field who wants to get their message heard?
Yeah, the main thing for me is to just try to do the best job you possibly can. So try to be extraordinarily incredible at what you do. And that's all you have to work on is how good is your information.
Mm.
So or in other fields, how good is your product? So I think that when people focus a little bit too much on the marketing and the selling of the product, I think that takes away a lot of the time and the energy and the effort available towards making the product just extraordinarily great.
Mm.
And so, for example, when I started my research review in 2008, so I started the very first monthly subscription to just reviewing the scientific research in the nutrition and fitness space. And so it's almost 15 years running now. So my philosophy was with that is just over deliver on the product, make the product just so good that people can't believe that it costs $10 a month, and you're staying on top of the research and the findings at a very high level, at the highest level.
Mm.
And so I've just kept steady with that for, well, as of January, it will be 15 years.
Wow.
And so people see that over delivering happening every month. And the book that I wrote, I tried to over deliver on that as well. I wanted to literally write the best damn nutrition book available. And you have to believe as the creator, you have to believe that, yeah, you've done that.
Mm.
And so from a marketing perspective, I think that's my marketing. I try to make everything much better than it needs to be.
Mm. No, that's a great way to do it, and the quality will always shine through in the end, won't it? And 15 years—that's a long time. I mean, I think that's a misconception nowadays with social media and growing social media pages. Just people think it happens too quickly, but some of the other people we've had on the podcast who have a few 100,000 followers, or some of them over 1 million. They've always said to me, it takes time, and it's about consistency, day in day out. One guy posted on his Facebook page every day for the last 12 years. I think he said that was the Muay Thai guy. And yeah, no, it's just consistency wins overall. But anyway, so to move to question 3, to keep picking that
Sure.
great brain, junk food is obviously a very mainstream thing nowadays, and a lot of it is very addictive and creates very powerful cravings. I know all about that. So my question is, when you're starting on a new diet or looking to reduce or remove junk food and fast food from your life, is there a way to mentally stop needing and getting those cravings? And what is the best way to build in healthy cravings satisfied into your diet? Any good tips for that?
Yes, there are brute force tips, and then there's more like tactical type of tips. So the brute force tip,
the Bruce Force, we love it.
the the brute force tip I would give is get, or force yourself to drink plain water when you're just as a matter of routine. So let's imagine you have your 3 square meals a day. Have what I call 3 square water meals a day. So drink to comfortable fullness, which for most people is like 2 tall glasses of water. Do that 3 times a day. And if you're trying to lose weight, position those in quotes water meals right before the meals, right
Mm.
before your actual food meals, because that will default you to eating significantly less during the meal because it displaces stomach space that would have been available for the food. And this is a good tactic to use when you're eating out at a restaurant, especially like places like the Cheesecake Factory or whatever, or things like that, where you've got the appetizers, you got the yummy, the smoking hot bread coming over there with the butter, and then you've got the main, and then you've got the dessert. If you use that brute force water meal trick, then it defaults you to eating a lot less and craving a lot less of the stuff that you really need to be cutting back on. So that's one trick. The other tactical thing that you can do, and I think this is an important thing, is just realize from a psychological standpoint that everything is just food, and food is actually meant to nourish and fuel, yes, but it's also meant to be enjoyed and enhance quality of life. So if you allow for a certain allotment of indulgence foods or fun foods, or yes, even we call it junk, if you allow for a minority of your diet, roughly 10 to 20% at most, to be junk, and then the other 80 to 90% of your diet is from whole and minimally refined and the wholesome, in quotes, clean stuff, then you still have a healthy diet. So, and then the next step, which is a technical, sort of a tactical thing, is to individualize how you incorporate that indulgence allotment. And everybody differs on this. So some people will be able to sustain long term on a permanent basis a little bit of indulgence every day, like 10 to 20% of total calories, which for most people is like 2 to 400 or 250 to 500 calories from whatever on earth you want in a day, every day.
Yeah.
And for other folks, they are much more comfortable being clean and Spartan for 6 days a week. And on day 7, just kind of let your hair down and have in quotes, a free day. And some people call it a cheat day or whatever. I don't necessarily like the language of cheating.
Mm.
But yeah, find out who you are in terms of programming or individualizing the indulgence food allotment, whether you're a little bit everyday person or whether you are more cyclical in your Spartanness and when you let your hair down. And that way, you don't have to choose between just a life of excess and sheer abandon versus a life of asceticism. You can incorporate these indulgences into your diet and have a more sustainable plan.
Yeah, that's really good advice, I think. And I'm gonna take that away from this for sure. I'm gonna do a little water trick there. I think that makes total sense. And I have done something similar before. What I did was when I got those cravings, I actually just had a bag of sunflower seeds just by my bed. And if I got that kind of a craving, I thought, oh, I want a snack, I'm gonna go downstairs, grab some crisps, just something like that. Just grab a handful of sunflower seeds, and it gives you something to munch on. And but when that craving's gone, it's gone, isn't it? It's just something that's fleeting and kind of makes you want to do something. But if you can just get through that or distract yourself, get some water in or get some sunflower seeds, and or even better, grab an apple or something instead.
Mm-hmm.
Switch it on itself. That's a really powerful thing. And just on the same subject as well, wanted to ask as well, just while we're on the fast food sort of subject, what's the best way to prevent laziness when it comes to the effort it takes to make proper healthy meals? And how do you prevent those urges, just to take the easy route with food and get something quickly, especially at the end of a long day when you're tired, you've been to the gym, you've been working, and just slapping that pizza in the oven or grabbing something from Mackey's just seems so appealing. What can you do to prevent that?
I think that the best prevention really is just having a plan in place and having your staples stocked up
Mm.
in the house, in the fridge. And so and even prior to that, it would begin with a decision and then a commitment. So decision, commitment, implement the plan, have the stuff stocked up in your house. I personally make sure that I've got a range of high quality protein sources and high quality foods in the house, just ready to go, in case I have cravings, or especially like, or just meal times, snack times, and stuff like that. And I try to make it as easy as possible. And you have to have a decent framework. I think that if you can lock into a routine of these core meals or even meal archetypes, and then just lock into that routine and make sure that you actually enjoy each of the meals that you have, I find that it's a lot easier to be consistent and not find yourself caught out with having to make quick decisions.
Mm.
And so, like for example, one of my routine pre-bed meals or pre-bed snacks is Greek yogurt, vanilla protein powder, uh, nice teaspoon, rounded teaspoon of peanut butter, and mix it all together, thin it down with some non-fat milk, and then put 2 handfuls of blueberries on top of that thing. And it's stuff like that that can be that easy and that quick, that would count as a legitimate meal that contributes to a high quality diet that's not wacky in terms of macronutrition.
Oh God, that sounds delicious. I might actually have to go and try that now. I'm just gonna run off this podcast and go and make that quickly. But yeah,
Yeah.
just want to ask as well, just while we're on that subject here about protein and stuff, and whey protein. I've just for myself, I've substituted a few meals recently. Like I've skipped breakfast and I had a protein shake instead. Just whey protein, chocolate or whatever, mixed with some milk. Shake it up, drink that, forget the food. Is that okay, do you think? Or do you think that, whey protein really should be used as more of a supplement and just something additional? Or is it okay to kind of skip a meal and stuff and just go for a bit of protein? What do you think?
Whey protein and any of the engineered sort of dairy proteins, protein powders, they can be considered basically just like foods. They're
Mm,
foodstuffs. So protein powder I would consider it a food rather than a supplement, in quotes, even though it can be used as a supplement for you to hit your protein goals. But um, I, for example, get at least a third of my day's protein from powder.
right.
And whey protein powder is rich in, well, the essential amino acids and then a range of micro constituents that make it nutrient dense and that
Mm,
make it a high quality food. And so, yeah, protein powder is a different animal.
mm,
I don't think of it as a supplement. I think of it as a food. Now, with that said, I don't recommend people rely solely on something like whey for their protein intake,
mm.
because there's other nutrients, other beneficial compounds, and other essential nutrients to be had from the other protein sources in the diet. So I'm a big proponent of having a diversity of food types in the diet. So
Okay.
you can cover a greater spectrum of nutrition rather than just having a diet made of like 5 or 6 foods and then calling it a day and thinking you're optimizing nutrition.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'll take that advice for sure. Yeah, you can't really substitute the minerals and stuff you get from natural meal, can you, and stuff. But I think that it kind of kills two birds with one stone, what you just said as well. You mix some protein into a nice yogurt dish and stuff, and you sprinkle it with berries and all these little things to make it nicer. Yeah, that's a craving killer as well, isn't it? Because it fills you up and it's something nice and healthy and delicious. And if you can appreciate that, then why would you really want to stuff your body with stuff that's going to make it worse? So I think even stuff like that, just getting meals you enjoy. I think when you think of dieting, I think nowadays people tend to just think diet equals broccoli and green things, and it doesn't have to be just that, does it? It can be things you really enjoy, but it just has to be moderated and controlled, and just to help you reach your goals. So yeah, I
Yes.
think that's really good advice.
Yeah.
So for my yeah, go on,
If I may interject,
go for it.
um, I don't know if you're familiar with the Trader Joe's grocery train, grocery train, grocery chain. Trader Joe's sells this really great tasting dark chocolate called Pound Plus, because it's 1.1 pounds of chocolate per block. And each individual square is it's like 75 calories worth of really good tasting dark chocolate. And I honestly get my dessert craving satisfied by just taking a square off of that thing, like 150 calories tops, a couple squares of that dark chocolate, and having it with a handful of almonds, and it does the trick, as far as the dessert cravings and the sweet cravings. And heck, frankly, that pre-bed meal I just told you about, the Greek yogurt plus the whey protein plus the peanut butter plus the berries and
Yeah.
a splash of milk, that takes care of any sort of grand dessert cravings I could ever have. And so, yeah, it doesn't. Your diet doesn't have to be something that you don't look forward to. You should look forward to each of your
Yeah.
meals.
Yeah, like you said at the start, food is something that should be savored and enjoyed, no matter who you
Mhm.
are on a diet or whatever, and it needs to stay like that. And I agree. I think, you know, I do sports, and my dad was very keen on the nutrition side of things, did a lot of research for me, and we've found many times as well, like you said, that dark chocolate's actually a bit of an unsung hero, really, isn't it? It's extremely good for you, and I know what you mean. It can really satisfy those cravings, and
Mhm.
it's just being mentally strong enough just to make that decision, and then once you're through it, it's all good. But anyway, so for question four, a bit of a deeper one now. So if you could be seen and heard everywhere by all people who aren't happy with their health, shape, diet, but don't know how to start on a better path and are constantly giving in to the cravings, what would you tell them to set them on the right path and start making better choices? You know, how can you stay with that as well? And how can you stay permanent to it and get consistent?
I would that's a really tough question, Louis,
Mm,
because everything lifestyle changes are driven by compelling reasons.
mm,
And the compelling reasons fall on the spectrum from the threat of disease, to, like, for example, when people's doctors tell them in their middle age, hey, you better make some changes here, or you're not going to see your daughter graduate high school. You
mm,
know, it's stuff like that that really kind of triggers people into change, and
yeah.
so it's difficult to plant that level of drive into everybody, to give everybody that magnitude of a compelling why or a compelling reason. So I would say think about why it may be important for you to make these changes, because when you have a strong enough why, then the how reveals itself. So yeah, do some introspection and think about how it might benefit you to, and how it might change your life in profound ways for the better, to improve your body composition, improve your health, and improve your ability to be physically active.
Mm.
And there you can find a lot of reasons that can tie into that are more than just the threat of disease. So yeah, find your deep-seated reason, find your why, and focus on that.
Brilliant. That's great advice, Alan. Thank you. Right. I do have one more question actually. It's
Sure.
just a little extra something. So my one of my best friends was a tennis player and developed long COVID and unfortunately got an inflamed heart and is now suffering from chronic fatigue syndrome. And I wanted to ask you, just while you're on the podcast, for someone like her, for example, who, had long COVID and developed chronic fatigue syndrome as a result of it, which came from inflammation of the heart. I wanted to ask you if you have any advice from a nutrition standpoint that might help or aid in the recovery for someone battling that. Obviously, it's a very specific and tough question, but anything could help.
How long has she been suffering from this? How many
Um,
months or
about a year now, I think. She just had to quit tennis recently, and yeah, she's got a disabled badge now and everything, and it's very tough for her at the moment. But she's recovering, but very slowly.
um I couldn't imagine a diet specific to that condition
Mm,
that's different from the standard healthy guidelines.
yeah, sure.
So there wouldn't be anything I can think of that's specific to it. But what I can say is that the common dietary shortcomings in the general public's diet is not enough omega-3 fatty acids, um, too low of protein intake. They usually average about 1 or 1.1 grams per kilogram of body weight, when it's a little bit more optimized towards 1.6 grams per kilogram of body weight, and even beyond. Um, the general public is short on their magnesium intake. They're short on their potassium intake. And frankly, they're also kind of short on their calcium intake as well. But
Bit short on everything,
I
then,
mean,
aren't we? Not doing too well.
yeah, there's no specific dietary strategy I could think of that would specifically target, alleviation of problems having to do with an inflamed cardiac tissue.
Sure.
Um, I think it's maybe more giving her some hope that this can improve over time.
Yeah.
Because everyone I've personally known who's gotten some sort of problem as a result of COVID, it has improved over time. So I think that if she has sort of the mindset and the resolve, and frankly, just the optimism that this can improve over time, whether it takes another year or whether it takes another 2 or 3 years, she should maintain the hope and the optimism that it can resolve. And
Yeah.
actually, my sister actually got a vaccine injury. She got vertigo as a case as a side effect of getting vaccinated,
Wow.
and it's really bad. She couldn't even stand up straight out from getting up for a while. But um, just having the resolve and the belief that, hey, and the optimism that this can get better over time. The body is actually built. It's designed to survive and heal itself from various physiological insults. I mean, that's just the body's job. If
Mm.
she can just maintain that resolved belief and optimism, that'll actually translate to a better recovery process versus her thinking, okay, I'm stuck with this forever. And it might even get worse. That's what she does. That's the road she does not want to go down.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's good advice, and thank you for for everything there. No, she's doing a great job. She's fighting hard. She's very positive. She's doing everything that she can do to the best of her ability. So,
I hope she
I'm
listens to this podcast
she will.
episode.
I'm sure. I'm gonna make sure she has a good listen to it, and I will make sure to pass on all your kind words. But anyway, that is our 4 questions done for today, Alan, and a bit. Sorry about that. And before
It's
we
all
wrap
good,
it
man.
up, it is time for what I like to call the shameless plug. So, Alan, feel free to take a minute and promote anything that you're working on, want people to take a look at, or just something you believe in. I'm sure there's plenty of that.
Yeah, the main things that I'm involved with are my monthly research review, which is you can just go to my website. It'll take you straight to it. So that's alanaragon.com. You can find all my stuff, and you can find me. Maybe my largest audience is Instagram. So my Instagram handle is the Alan Aragon, because somebody apparently took Alan Aragon. So it's yeah, at the Alan Aragon on Instagram, and that's my social media handle for the other platforms as well. Um, and oh yeah, my book, Flexible Dieting. You try to keep it number one on the punk music charts. So make sure you check that out on Amazon.
Brilliant. Hey, great stuff, Alan. Thank you so much again for your time and for joining me today for the Talk4 podcast. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on.
Louis, it has been a pleasure for me as well. And thank
Brilliant.
you everyone for tuning in.
Awesome. Thank you guys for listening. This has been episode 37. I'm so glad to be back. And if you'd like to listen to our past episodes, go and have a look at our channel. And if you'd like to listen for our future ones, we've got some cool people coming up. Make sure to get subscribed and, leave a like and a comment. Let me know what you thought. Signing off for now.